namely that antidepressants often do not do what they promise and are in fact causing harm to many.
Dr. Steve Hotze is suing over Obamacare's employer mandate.
It's time for a wellness revolution. Brought to you by Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Honest discussion on maintaining health and wellness naturally to enjoy a better quality of life.
He's the doctor fighting to let you keep your doctor.
Now, Dr. Stephen Hotze.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I'm Stacy Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze, the founder of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Got a great program today. Want to remind everybody, a great program, a super great program,
Yeah.
and we are also on Facebook Live. So if you want to get on your iPad, your iPhone, your computer, go to Facebook, type in Hotze Health, then you'll be able to watch us through Facebook.
Hi, Mom.
Yes, that's right. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Janie.
Got to get up those shout outs in there. All right, Dr. Hotze, what do we have on tap for today?
Well, today we're going to be visiting with one of our guests who is a wonderful young lady who's had a remarkable health and wellness experience coming from the depths of just being in the gutter. I'm talking about at a young age when she was 32 to just having a completely changed life health-wise. And not only has her life been changed, but her kids' life have been changed, her 3 little kids. We're going to visit with her in a minute. We're going to be talking about and focusing on thyroid, because this is in low thyroid particularly, because this was the affliction, the problem, the underlying cause of our guest's problem was thyroid. Now, let me just brief you all and remind you about the thyroid gland to prepare you to better understand our guest story today. The thyroid gland is located in your neck. It's shaped like a butterfly, like a monarch butterfly. And the thyroid gland produces thyroid hormones, okay? What do the thyroid hormones do? Well, the thyroid hormones are secreted by the gland into the bloodstream, and in the bloodstream, the thyroid circulates so that it enters every cell of your body. You've got 40 trillion cells or more. Some say 75 trillion cells. I don't know how they count.
It's a lot.
I don't know how they count it, but it's a whole lot of cells.
Right.
That's a T, trillion, as in Tom. So that's a lot of cells, and every cells require thyroid hormones to enable the cell's power plants, which are called the mitochondria, to be able to produce and use energy. So it's important for your body to produce adequate amounts of thyroid hormone, and it's important for your cells to assimilate into themselves adequate amounts of thyroid hormone that will activate the power plant so your cells can produce energy. Remember, the whole secret of good health is having high energy production within the cells of your body. That means you have to have good mitochondrial health. Has anybody ever thought, I wonder how my mitochondria are doing today? Your mitochondria are your power plants, just like we have power plant for the greater Houston area down here, the nuclear reactor down southeast of town that converts nuclear energy into electrical energy. So your body has cells that converts the nutrients and oxygen your body diffuses through the blood into the cells so that the cells can produce energy. It converts those food products and the nutrition to energy, and it needs vitamins and minerals and thyroid hormone to activate that energy production. So if you're able to produce high amounts of energy, you're producing high voltage. Voltage measures the amount of electrical energy. So if you're a high voltage person, you're going to be a healthy person. If you're a low voltage person, you're going to be a sick person. And it leads to a host of symptoms. So you can imagine if you have poor energy production in your cells, what it's going to affect. It's going to affect, one, your overall energy level. So if you don't have enough energy, you tend to be, first and foremost, people complain about, what do you think it is?
Well, they're tired. They're tired
They're
all
fatigued.
the time.
I'm just tired. They wake up tired. They go to bed tired. They're tired during the day. They can't hardly work. They fall asleep in their cars. They fall asleep at work. They fall asleep on the couch. They have no energy.
Has to be one of the number one complaints here at our center when people come in.
Most common complaint we see is
fatigue, tired, exhausted.
And, of course, how do you think that affects their brain function when you don't produce much energy? You think you're sharp as a tack? No, you're dull. You don't think clearly. You get brain fog. You don't sleep well. When your metabolism, remember the thyroid hormone governs your body's energy production, which is your metabolic rate, your metabolism. If you have high metabolism, you have high energy and you're healthy. Low metabolism means you have low energy production and you're sick. So if you have low energy production from low thyroid, your metabolism is going to be low. Guess what goes up?
Your weight?
Your weight goes up. The metabolism goes down, the weight goes up, you don't change your eating habits, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you've got all this weight on you. You don't know how it got there. And, of course, it can affect your sleep. It affects your muscles. It affects your joints. It affects your bowel function. It affects your immune system's ability to fight off infections. It affects your hair growth. It affects women, your menstrual cycles. It has a profound effect on every organ in your body. And it can lead, of course, to mood swings. You think if your energy's up, you think you're going to be optimistic and enthusiastic? Sure. That's the high energy person you see. Boy, that girl's wired up, man. She's a live wire. You know, she's got a lot of energy. Or you can go, boy, that guy's a slug. Look at him, man. He can't hardly get up. He can't think clearly. He's dull. And that's the difference between high energy production and low energy production. And it all is based upon your cell's ability to properly utilize thyroid hormones. Now, you might say to yourself, I've got all these symptoms, doc, but I go to my doctor and he says my thyroid's normal. And we're going to describe and explain why blood tests alone can't tell you whether you're getting any thyroid into your cells. That is a clinical presentation. So I want to go now to our guest with that background about thyroid, and I want to introduce you to our guest today, Hollie Grub. Hollie, how are you today?
I'm great, Dr. Hotze. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. I'm so glad to have you on our program today on Wellness Solutions, because you found some solutions to get yourself healthy and well when, in fact, prior to that, you were sick and tired.
Absolutely.
So why don't you give us a little bit of background? We're going to finish up this segment, and then we'll bring you in follow-up. But tell us about yourself, Hollie. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? When'd you get married? How many kids do you have? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I actually grew up in Missouri, and then through a series of circumstances ended up in Texas, and then got married, moved to Pennsylvania, and moved back to Texas, which is when I was able to come to the Hotze Wellness Center, which was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
When did you move back to Texas?
About 2012 is when we moved back to Texas.
And your husband, you and your husband married now for how many years?
We've been married for just about 7 years.
For how long?
For about 7 years.
7 years, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we come back, I want you to share with our listening audience what the symptoms you had that precipitated your decision to come to the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, and how long you'd had them, and what other doctors had told you about them. So we're going to be back to learn more of Hollie Grub's story as soon as we come back from this break.
And if any of the symptoms that Dr. Hotze described to you earlier about low energy level, if you think that maybe your mitochondria needs a boost and you want to do that naturally, then give us a call today at 281-698-8698. It's 281-698-8698. You're listening to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. Please stay tuned.
Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution, your daily dose of radio reality.
Tired of being sick and tired and want to do a 180 and take charge of your health, and give us a call today at 281-698-8698. We'll be more than happy to send you a complimentary copy of Dr. Hotze's best-selling book, Hormones, Health, and Happiness. That's 281-698-8698. 8698. Here's Dr. Hotze.
Thanks so much, Stacy, and thank each one of you for joining us today on Wellness Revolution. Our goal is to help you make a decision to take charge of your health, to do a 180, to turn around, and to take charge of your health so you can place yourself on a path of health and wellness, so you can be healthy and well naturally. You can't get healthy and well on drugs. You can palliate, mask all your symptoms, and just get sicker and sicker, quicker and quicker. But if you get on a path of health and wellness naturally, you can change your life. You can restore your health naturally. You can get yourself feeling like $1 million and looking like $1 million. I should say 10 million. $1 million is not what it used to be. $10 million, $100 million gets you really feeling great. And we're visiting with a guest of ours, Hollie Grub, who came in to see us when she was 32 years old, and that's back in 2013. Came in the August of that year. Hollie grew up in Missouri, ultimately got married. She and her have been married 7 years. She and her husband moved back here to Houston. How long ago now, Hollie?
Oh, about almost 5 years ago.
Moved back to Houston 5 years ago. Now, Hollie, tell us about the symptoms that you were experiencing that made you decide that you needed to make some significant changes in your health and seek out some professional help here at the Hotze Health Wellness Center. What was it?
Well, honestly, it started in my childhood because as long as I can remember, I have always had all of the symptoms I was struggling with, just cold, icy cold hands, but yet being intolerant of heat, chronic constipation. Even as a child, I had migraines, just a headache, and just always. I had joint pain that would keep me awake at night, hips and knee pain just ached all night long. I had a weak immune system. I was 3 or 4 years old, and I had shingles, and I had a constant sore throat. I had recurrent sinus infections and dry skin, and more than anything throughout my entire life, the theme has been I am always tired. So as I entered my teens, I had all of those issues, but then added more because I had acne and shortness of breath, and if I stood up, I would be dizzy, and I had difficult cycles. I would have so much pain that I would become physically ill, and I developed carpal tunnel syndrome, and that was difficult because I was a pianist, and I had to give that up for months as I underwent.
Now, let me mention this carpal tunnel syndrome is where you get in your hands. It can be unilateral or bilateral, where you get compression of the nerves that go through the wrist into the hands, and they give you numbness and tingling in your hands and severe pain. So you were a pianist, and how did this affect your piano playing?
Well, for a time, I had to actually give it up, and then I had to very much limit how often I played and how much, and what kind of music I played. I couldn't play, the classical pieces. I had to play very simple melodies because I couldn't handle the pain.
Right, and you began developing that carpal tunnel syndrome pain at what age?
I would say I was probably around 18 or 19 when it started, and then it really got excessively bad in my early 20s, and that's when I started having just severe chronic fatigue. I was wakeful at night. I would wake up almost every hour and yet be so tired that I would just focus in on the clock and think, how many hours of sleep do I have left? And then by early morning, I would go into a deep sleep, and I would sleep so hard that my family would have to come and wake me up because I'd sleep right through the alarm. So then I had those morning headaches. Every morning I would wake up with a headache, and I started using sugar and caffeine just to survive because I had a high-stress job. I was a loan officer, and I did marketing for the mortgage bank I worked for, and I had a busy social life. I was involved in my church, and I helped start a political club. So I was just running on adrenaline all the time, and I remember crawling under my desk at work during my lunch break to just try to go to sleep because otherwise I would fall asleep at my desk. And I really started feeling physically. People started asking, is something wrong? Have you been ill? They were taking my family side and asking my mom, is something wrong with her? And there were so many suggestions, but I started feeling like a failure because technically everything was fine with me physically, but I was not doing well at all.
So when you say everything was fine, when you went and visited with some physicians, conventional doctors, I'm sure, didn't you?
Yes, well, in my teens, I went and tried to get help for my acne, and they put me on antibiotics, just round after round of antibiotics, and that did not help anything. And then in my 20s, I went to a doctor and I said, can you check my thyroid? Because my mom was telling me all of your symptoms seem like thyroid symptoms. So they did my blood work and they said, well, your thyroid is normal, but I'll tell you what the problem is. Your hormones are messed up. So we will put you on birth control, and that will level everything out, and your cycles will be normal, and your acne will go away, and then we'll just give you some prescription medication for the migraines.
And so that was at what age did you start on the birth control pills?
I started on the birth control. I was 27 or 28 because
Okay.
I was that was the time period that I was really trying to get my acne cleared up because I was about to be married, and I was done with it. I was like, whatever it takes, let's get rid of this.
So you started on the birth control pills, and how did that work out?
Well, it actually made things worse. My acne did not go away, and my cycles became more irregular. Sometimes I just wouldn't have them. And then after several months, I started experiencing depression and just this dark, sad feeling, even though I was truly happy. I was the happiest time of my life. I mean, I was getting married to my dream guy, but it was messing with my emotions.
And so you stayed on it for how long?
I was on the birth control probably about a year.
Okay, and so how was it what made you decide to stop?
Well, I realized that the depression and that dark, sad feeling was connected to when I had started taking that, and my husband and I talked about it, and we both felt like I should just try to go off of it and see what happened. And in a couple of months, that went away, and so I knew that was connected.
So then you and your husband tell me your husband's first name again. It's
Daryl.
Daryl, yeah. So you and Daryl ended up having your first baby, and you were how old when that happened?
I was 30.
So tell me about that pregnancy and the delivery and what happened after the delivery.
Sure. Well, I still had all of my symptoms, terrible brain fog. I mean, I couldn't remember what I had eaten for breakfast. I would go to work. People would say, what did you do for the weekend? And I wouldn't be able to remember, which was so embarrassing. And there were a couple of weeks or months during the pregnancy where I actually felt a little better. And I've learned now that's because my body was producing extra progesterone. But that didn't last. And after I had the baby, I went into full postpartum depression. Every day, 2 o'clock, I would just experience this sadness and darkness that I'd never experienced in my life. And I was truly a happy person. I was very happy about my baby. I was happy about my husband. But it would just come over me, and I knew it was related. So, and the fatigue got worse, and just all of my symptoms got worse after having the baby.
That was after your first baby. Now, did you talk to your conventional doctor about that?
Yes. Well, I'd actually talked to her before I had the baby because it was really starting to affect my social life. The brain fog, the inability to do anything outside of just normal daily life, and not even that really. I couldn't go out with people. I couldn't do anything. And so I thought, I'm going to go get my thyroid checked. And then, so I did that. And she told me, your thyroid is normal. She said, now, are you depressed? And that was just kind of the final blow for me, because then I had to go back and tell all of my friends, well, actually, I'm normal. I'm just not able to function. And so that's when I kind of stopped telling people I don't feel
normal,
good.
but I can't function.
Exactly.
The doctor says, well, your blood's normal. And you had all these symptoms. You had the symptoms of the fatigue, the headaches, the brain fog, the cold hands, cold feet, difficulty sleeping, insomnia, joint muscle aches and pains, constipation. And the blood tests were all normal. So what did that make you think about yourself?
Well, I felt like I was a failure. I thought everyone else feels this way because it's normal and they function and I can't function. So I'm weak and I'm a failure, or I'm just lazy and it's all in my head. And so I really started to feel very bad about myself.
And then you ended up getting pregnant again.
Yes, I did. And I had that, couple of weeks or a month where I felt a little bit better. And then, oh boy, did it get worse after I had the second baby. It was just, I started seeing in black and white, and I couldn't see more than past about 2 feet in front of my face. And even that just felt like it was spinning around me. I couldn't handle multi-levels of noise. If my husband took me out to a restaurant, the noise was so much I couldn't find my own thoughts. I just felt overwhelmed, and I just wanted to get back home where it was quiet. And I was so physically weak, I could not do more. I couldn't pick the toys up. I had to just kind of use my foot to push them to one side, and my husband had to come home and do all of that. All I could do was care for the children. And, it was just very difficult.
Okay, we're going to be back with the rest of Hollie's story. It sounds pretty rough right now, doesn't it?
It does.
Doesn't sound good. I hope we're going to have a happy ending with this. I know we obviously wouldn't have her on if there's not a happy ending. But have any of you ever felt this way before? I know we have talked to so many women that have shared these very similar problems, and it is so important for you to make the change that you need to make. And we're going to find out what Hollie did and how she got her life back.
Absolutely. And if you want to find out how you too can get your life back naturally and do 180, then call us today at 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. You're listening to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. Please stay tuned.
Now back to the Wellness Revolution. Here's your host, Dr. Stephen Hotze.
Welcome back to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. This is Stacy Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze. And if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, then know that there is a natural way to address your health issues. You can give one of our wellness consultants a call at 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. And also we are on Facebook Live. So just go to Facebook, type in Hotze Health, and you will be able to see us there. Here's Dr. Hotze.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Thanks for joining us today on Wellness Revolution. We are leading a revolution in wellness, and you do that by helping people get off of pharmaceutical drugs and to make changes in their lifestyle and in their. So that would involve. What does that involve? That involves changing your eating. So you're eating a very optimal eating program, which eliminates simple carbs and sugars and all the soft drinks and all the stuff people try to fill up their body with, trying to get healthy and well, or trying to feel well and trying to feel stimulated. That's why they take all the sugar and all the coffee and the caffeine. And
that's what Hollie was talking about.
Yeah.
She was trying to
get
mask
stimulated,
her symptoms. Exactly.
Mask the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Hollie Grub on the line, but we're going to be back with our guest just 1 minute. But I wanted to mention to you that in order to join that wellness revolution, it's going to require changes. Revolution always requires change in your eating habits. So you eat healthy, whole, real food. 2, replenish your natural occurring hormones. 3, take vitamins and minerals to help detoxify your body and to gin up your mitochondria, your power plants for making energy, and do some exercise. 4 simple things that can be done to help you get on a path of health and wellness so that you don't end up driving down the wrong side of that freeway and get yourself in a big, bad wreck which may kill you or cripple you. We're visiting with Hollie Grub. Hollie Grub is a guest of ours who came in 2013. She was 32. She'd had 2 kids, and her symptoms were really pretty straightforward. No energy. Could not function with her 2 kids. Tell us the story about when you called your mama that one day. I thought that was an interesting story.
Well, it was one of the first few times that I had alone with the children after I had the baby, because my mom had just been there constantly to help me. And it was probably 4 to 6 weeks after I had the baby, and my little baby she just never cried. And all of a sudden today she started crying, and my little toddler started crying at the same time, and the noise was just so overwhelming to me, and I was so tired and so fatigued that I called my mom and I said, "Mom, I need you to come over so I can just go into the other room and have them quiet." And she said, "Well, sure, I'll come, but only if you promise me that you're going to pick up the phone and call the Hotze Health and Wellness Center as soon as I hang up." Well, I did wait until she got there, but I called that day, and they got me right in, and my life has changed forever.
Well, so that goes back to 2013. So she came in with the symptoms of fatigue, inability to focus and think clearly, insomnia, cold sensitivities, not too heavy, but a little difficulty with her weight, and joint muscle aches and pains, constipation. She'd had recurrent and chronic infections. She had a history of migraine headaches, irregular menstrual cycles, and she was basically felt like a wreck and just couldn't function. And she's only 32 years old. For crying out loud, to me, I'm at 66. 32 looks like a child. You ought to be brimming with energy. And here she is.
That's right.
Here she is at 32, and she just can't function at all. So your mother-in-law called you, right?
My mother.
Your mother called you.
Yes.
And your mom, oh, that's right. Your mom called you, and they said they wanted you to come in. Now,
well,
your
mom
mom
knows
and
best, right?
Pardon me?
I said mom knows best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so your mom and dad had been guests here, hadn't they?
Yes, they had.
So they ended up coming in, and they did well. And it's interestingly enough, if you've heard us talk about Catherine Ritchie, the young lady that had the problems with infertility and lack of menstrual cycles at 28, was told by Mayo's Clinic and 50 other doctors that she would never be able to get pregnant. Well, Catherine subsequently came here. We got our hormones balanced, got her on thyroid, female hormones, and she's had 4 kids since. Well, of course, that's who Hollie had been watching. Catherine's life had been changed. She had seen her mom and dad's life had been significantly changed at Hotze Health Wellness Center. And her mama said, honey, you've got to go to the Hotze Health Wellness Center. So you came in and you met with Dr. Ellsworth, right?
Yes, I did.
What was different about that visit than any other visit you'd had with the doctor?
Okay, well, first of all, just the wellness center, all the staff there treated me with so much kindness and deference and respect. I felt like a very special person. They were all glad to see me, and it felt more like a spa visit than a doctor's visit. But the biggest difference to me was when I met with Dr. Ellsworth. I kind of expected him to be a little dubious about my symptoms, and he was not. And he had me do most of the talking, and he listened to me instead of telling me. And so that was huge to me, just to feel like here was an educated man who didn't think it was all in my head. And he didn't ask if I was depressed, and I was so amazed that he seems to think that everything I told him was an easy fix. And the amazing thing is, it really was. So they told me not to expect to feel a difference for at least a few weeks, but I could tell a difference in a matter of a few days once I started the thyroid.
And, of course, he put you on and has advanced your doses and tweaked them with natural thyroid hormone. He's put you on natural progesterone and also on some cortisol. Got you on a good eating program, a yeast-free eating program, which you communicated to me that really made a big difference.
Yes, I put that off because I felt such an immediate difference with the thyroid, and because it was hard for me with having a nursing child, and I put off the yeast-free diet. I wish I could go back and do it right away, because I realized when I did that how much the food I eat affects the way I feel, and I have completely changed my diet.
Well, that was important because if you remember Hollie's earlier story, she had acne as a child and as a teenager and into her 20s, and she wanted to get over that. And she was put on antibiotics, long courses of antibiotics. And, of course, antibiotics kill bad bacteria, but they also kill good, healthy bacteria in the system, and they can adversely affect your normal bowel status, so that your bowels can become sick and you get leaky bowel syndrome. You get a host of problems and allergies with food and allergies to yeast, because yeast tends to overgrow. When you take antibiotics, you get yeast problems, and they get problems in the gut, and that's the problems you had. So when you got on the yeast-free eating program, that made a difference. We're going to be back with Hollie, because you think it's amazing what's happened to her, and we're going to finish her story. You ought to hear about her 3 young kids, what's happened to them. That's really amazing.
And it's our mission to help you achieve health and wellness naturally. Please stay tuned here at Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution.
Why walk amongst the living sick when you can join a wellness revolution? Here's Dr. Hotze.
This is Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution, and we are on a mission to help you achieve health and wellness naturally. If you would want more information on doing a 180 and taking charge of your health, and give us a call today at 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. We are also on Facebook Live. So you can go to Facebook, type in Hotze Health, and you will be able to find us there. Now, I do want to mention Hollie. We couldn't get her in studio today. However, she will be on television tomorrow morning with Dr. Hotze on Great Day Houston, which is, I think, KHOU. So Channel 11. Channel 11.
And the time of Great Day Great Day Houston is between 9 and 10 o'clock. So she'll be sometime after 9:10 or 9:15. There's usually a doctor gathering where the doctors talk together in a group, and then various doctors have their guests on. So sometime between 9:10 and 10 o'clock, we'll be interviewing Hollie, and you'll be able to see her live and in person on KHU Channel 11 TV with Deborah Duncan. So Hollie's been a guest of ours since 2013. On a scale of 1 to 10, Hollie, when you came in, 10 being brimming with energy, best you ever felt, 1 being no energy or just, down at the bottom of the barrel, how would have you rated your overall energy and your overall sense of well-being and health when you first came to see us on a scale of 1 to 10?
Hollie, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here.
Did you hear my question?
How about a -5? I was so bad.
Oh, my goodness. It sounded like it when you were explaining all your symptoms.
And this had really been, had you ever remember in your life prior to coming here having felt well?
No, I don't. It just felt like it always got worse, but it never felt good.
So you had really been sick and you felt like you were down in the gutter. You say a -5. Okay, so you came in to see us here at the Hotze Health Wellness Center back in August of 2013. How long do you think it has taken you to get to your status of the way you feel now and your overall health now on a scale of 0 to 10? How would you rate your overall energy level now?
Oh, I would say at a 10. As long as I stick to the program like I should, I feel amazing. And a lot of people say the Hotze Health and Wellness Center gave me my life back. But I tell people that they gave me a life I never had because at 35, almost 36, I feel better than I did when I was a teenager.
Which is remarkable. Most people do tell us that. Thank you, Dr. Hotze, for giving me my life back. You're the first person to say, thank you for giving me a life I never had. Now, it's amazing as you look back and the way you had felt about yourself. You mentioned you didn't have confidence in yourself. You felt like it was your fault. This was your inability really to cope. Everybody had the same problems. They could cope with it, but you were a weak person and couldn't cope with it. And that had to affect your relationship with your husband and with your kids at work and everywhere. It had to have an adverse relationship. Tell us about that.
Well, I think it did. I mean, just that lack of self-confidence and I always apologized for everything because I just felt like, I somehow was a big mess up. And, my husband had to keep bolstering me up and, no, everything's great, you're good, it's not your fault. But, it was not great. And I wasn't able to be the kind of mother and wife that I wanted to be. I mean, I could do the dishes some of the time he had to do it. And I took care of the children. But I didn't have extra energy for playing. I mean, I couldn't give my children an airplane ride, because that would wipe me out and I would feel dizzy like I would pass out. I had nothing to give to them.
So now on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your energy level now?
Oh, I think it's great. I would say a 10.
So you're at a 10 and you feel like you've been that way. How long have you felt on top of your game as best as you know now? In other words, now you feel better than you told me you did when you were a teenager.
Yes. Well, I would say that really it started right away. I remember with that first baby, and I had gone, she was just a few weeks old. I would wake up at 5:30 to feed her, and I would crash back in bed. But then after I started on the Thyroid, I remember waking up at 5:30 and thinking, okay, I could go back to bed, but I think I'm ready to start the day. And I would get up, and I would wake rested. I would sleep through the night. And a few times I have thought, okay, I'm doing better. I can slack off, eat more sugar, it doesn't matter that much. And sure enough, the symptoms flare back up. And it's great because I go back on that, and my goal is to just stay on that because I feel so good. And it's been a miracle, truly.
Well, so you have done exceptionally well. Now you have 3 children. Tell our listeners what you notice about your kids. Your kids are now what, 5, 3, and 1?
Yes.
Okay, so you started noticing some symptoms in your kids. Tell us about that.
Well, sure. Our first child that we brought to Hotze was our second child, and she was a baby. She had jaundice. She had blotchy skin. She was very cold. She never cried. She was floppy. She had just a huge anterior fontanelle, and she had no motivation to move, and she could not sit up even at 6 months. We have a picture where we had tried to sit her up, and she had just slowly tipped over to land on her face. And by 7 or 8 months, she was finally sitting up on her own, but she had no desire to move and still just no muscle tones. Her shoulders just sagged. Well, she started having terrible constipation. She was almost exclusively nursed, and the only other food she had was organic fruits and vegetables. So we started thinking, something's not right here. We have to put a baby on Miralax. And it wasn't working. One day she was sitting in the floor, just sitting there, and she started screaming. And we found that she was so constipated she had become impacted. Mm-hmm. And that's when my husband said, okay, we're taking her to the wellness center and see if they can do something for her. And Dr. Ellsworth put her on Thyroid, and her constipation cleared up almost immediately. She started taking an interest in things. She became stronger, just had muscle tone. And after several weeks, I was cooking dinner, and I turned around, and she was sitting on the kitchen table. She had climbed up there on her own. And that was just amazing to me to see the difference in her life just from something like just taking her little thyroid pill.
As simple as thyroid. And then your other two kids.
Well, our eldest child, after we saw the success with the baby, we took my eldest child. She had been a pretty healthy child, an early talker. She was ahead on all of her milestones. She loved flashcards and books. Before a year old, she knew all her colors, and she was just top of the charts, growth charts. But all of a sudden, at 12 to 15 months, she plummeted on the growth charts for no apparent reason. She would sleep 16 to 17 hours a day, and she would have a chronic cough all night long. She was put on medication with a nebulizer. That didn't help. She had constant drainage. She would awake from her naps and scream for long periods of time for no apparent reason. We couldn't comfort her. We couldn't find a cause. She had huge dark circles under her eyes. She was losing weight and muscle tone, and the constipation started. In spite of a healthy diet, organic fruits, vegetables, she was on Miralax, and she would still be so constipated that the doctor told us, well, give her pediatric enemas. So we had to give her enemas for her to go to the bathroom. She would eat and then go straight over to the couch and just start wallowing, and we couldn't figure out why. She would not make eye contact with us. She had always been a very happy child, and she just looked sad all the time. I would find her hiding behind her bedroom door. She would choke on any kind of solid food. We had to just give her pureed foods. And even with all of her sleeping, she would just lay in her bed in between her naps. She would fall and trip all the time. She would run into walls and doors like she just didn't see them. We would take her outside to play, and she would just stand there in the yard and look around. And her nails were paper thin. She walked on her toes. She had obsessive behavior. She started doing the same things over and over. She couldn't remember things that she had learned when she was 12 months old, her colors and things like that. And I told my husband, I feel like I'm losing my child. She won't even look me in the eyes. I feel like I'm losing her. And so after we saw the success with our second-born daughter, we took her to the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. And Dr. Ellsworth did the food allergy testing. He checked her thyroid, and we found that she had some food allergies. We took her off those. We did the yeast-free diet. And in the first few days, she started making eye contact with me. And that was huge. And then she got her smile back, and all of the other symptoms have just gone away and just, slowly peeled back to where she is strong, top of the growth charts, healthy, and very, very happy.
That is tremendous.
That is a tremendous story. And as we close, just let the audience know, and your third little baby, we got him on thyroid. So this family had a problem with low thyroid, and it's made a tremendous difference in their lives, not only in Hollie, but in her 3 children's lives. So, Hollie, thank you for sharing your remarkable story with us today.
Yes, thank you, Hollie. And it's so interesting to note that thyroid can be also a good cure-all for children, not just adults. So just remember, if you have similar symptoms, to give us a call at 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. Thank you for joining us today at Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. God bless you.
Information provided on this radio program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution radio program advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this radio program is at the listener's discretion.